Hey, it's Tpok. I'm back in Katawa Shoujo, and we left off with Rin talking about self-destruction, so that's kinda scary. So, Rin thinks for a split second, averting her gaze like she does when she doesn't want to get distracted. I don't know yet. I'll decide later. Oh, and now she's smoking. Rin bends down to pick out a cigarette from the end. She raises her head with one between her lips and turns to me, eyebrows curved into two arcs, challenging me to respond. Oh yeah, and someone told me it's 20 I think is what they said in Japan for cigarettes. And I'm assuming we're 18, 17, 18, 19 range, not 20. With a sigh of resignation, I pick up the lighter and raise it to meet the cigarette. I can feel Rin's warmth beneath my quivering hand. The flame flickers to life on the third strike of the flint, and I try to aim the dancing fire at the end of the cigarette. An amber-colored glow spreads into the wrapping paper and tobacco as Rin inhales the first smoke. It seems to relax her significantly. To my surprise, she doesn't cough, despite telling me that she's a first-timer. Rin seems to remember that it's hard to blow the smoke out without spitting the cigarette out as well. She quickly sits down on the floor, bringing her foot to her lips like a circus contortionist, and expertly picks the filter between her toes. I get down on the floor as well, and we both lie down almost simultaneously while Rin blows a steady stream of smoke towards the dim sky beyond the glass of the skylight, looking after it thoughtfully. The thin haze of steely blue smoke slithers towards the ceiling in fish-like movements. It billows in the stagnant air of the atelier, twisting and turning around in its own immaterial body until it dissipates in thin air. What's the word for smoke that looks like that? There's no word for that. We should maybe come up with one. Maybe. Rin takes another quick experimental drag. It's not very tasty. Feels like inhaling the dust lying on top of a forgotten book about the memories of a dead kingdom. Do you want to try? My hesitation unintentionally surfaces again, making me freeze in the face of a rather trivial and commonplace challenge. Rin's ability to take everything so coolly is something I'm a bit jealous of. Alright, what are you doing? Taking it from her, I have a drag on it, fighting against the sudden choking feeling in my lungs as they fill with smoke. To my embarrassment, I fail, wheezing and hacking my lungs out. I feel flustered, but maybe I haven't lost too much face in Rin's eyes. It's less unpleasant on the second try, but I pass the cigarette back to Rin. We're like a pair of budding delinquents in middle school sneaking their first smoke out of sight of their teachers and parents. Well, I suppose it's not like, that's exactly what we are. After a while, the cigarette has shrunk most of the way down to the filter. Rin is still looking quietly out of the skylight. With her looking out there, the silence inside the atelier seems to deepen even more. Are the cogs of creativity turning behind those eyes right now? Do another one. I mechanically pick out another cigarette, light it, and place it on Rin's lips. She takes a few quick puffs and moves it awkwardly around with her lips. Forgive. Not understanding her garbled words, I think she said take it. I glance over at Rin. It looks like she's having trouble with the cigarette. I pick the cigarette from her lips and place it on mine, abandoning common sense and good reason while I do so. The first one should have been enough for me, but I take another drag, still coughing a little at the unpleasant sensation of smoke invading my respiratory organs. I remember doing something like this before. So you have smoked. Doesn't look like it though. No, lying on my back and looking up at the sky with you. Oh. The sky on the other side of the glass is slowly growing darker. It's unreachably high, even if the shimmering smoke seems to make it closer. I return the cigarette back to Rin's mouth. It feels bad somehow. The space between us, less than an arm's reach, is still there. It's the distance between us, the immeasurably wide chasm of thoughts and feelings that separates us with graver certainty than even light years of physical distance could. By saying the right words, there might be a way to make that chasm narrower, even if it's just a little. I tried to cross that gap with one big step, but Rin turned me back. I glanced out at her out of the corner of my eye. Rin is staring upward through the smoke-filled ceiling and the skylight at the darkened sky above us. It's almost like she's sleeping, even though I know she isn't. Her eyes are open, as is her mouth. I take the cigarette from Rin before it falls on her cheek. She doesn't react to my touch in any way. So, this is where we are now. I wonder if we can ever be closer than this. I take a drag off the cigarette and blow a thin stream of smoke upwards. These indirect kisses are the only things that connects us right now. The taste of Rin's lips on the filter mixed with the ashen taste of the smoke. Her soft lips against my fingers as I press the cigarette on her mouth, as if she was placing kisses on them. The ash softly falling on the floor between us like snow. As the second cigarette is being finished off, I'm already lighting the third one. This cannot be good for you, Hisao. I mean, it's bad in general, but I mean, even, I don't know. Can it affect your heart? I could, I guess, if you're, like, coughing a ton. The only thing breaking the stillness of the atelier is the inaudible sound of smoke floating towards the first stars blinking overhead. Light nausea hits me by the fourth or fifth cigarette. Jeez, calm down. Before long, the shape of the waxing moon... Oh, what just happened? Appears in the skylight, shedding her wan light down on us. It'll be a full moon in a few days. It'd be nice to be able to fly. I flinch after realizing it was my own voice that gave birth to that remark. The bastard child of the most inebriating smoke and tiredness. You can't? You can? Sometimes I feel like it, like I can do anything. I wish I felt like that too sometimes. I wonder if she hears the bitterness seeping into my words. The vicious cycle of unrequited feelings is poisoning me, even now. I try to push the grim thoughts aside. My efforts meet with little success as my mind keeps swirling around what ifs and if onlys. Oh, if onlys. Watching the moon slowly creeping higher, I realize that a long time has passed since I came here. It sobers me somewhat, but also reminds me of the sad status quo we are in now. It's late. We'd better get going back to school. I stand up to leave, but Rin doesn't show any sign of rising up from the floor. She lies inanimate, as though all life had been sapped from her. Little wisps of smoke float about her, memories of the cigarette we shared. I grasp her by her short, thin arm and try to pull her up. To my surprise, she complies and stands up with some help from me. I notice how little Rin weighs, as if she were made of feathers. Are you going to stay here overnight? I have to. I haven't painted much in 3 days. I have to find out how I can start painting. Maybe the smoke helps. Just take a break. That's no good. I have to do it. If I can't paint anymore, I will be destroyed for real. Maybe you're just burned out. You've been working pretty hard. That would be bad. I wonder if this is it for me. I wanted to see how far I can go. Maybe this is it. The end. You just have artist block. It's no big deal. That's the word for when you can't paint, right? I've had that before. Never like this, though. I pick up a brush, then I want to put it down right away. And then I do. 3 days. It's like I've forgotten how to paint. I didn't think that it was possible. Like, more impossible than Emmy growing wings and a tail. You need a break. I mean, I get that you're trying to go deeper inside yourself for your paintings, but it's not really that healthy to stay inside your own head for so long. I glance at the night sky visible through the window. A couple of stars are weakly twinkling above the city. They remind me of something I used to do once upon a time. It feels so horribly long ago. Come, let's go outside. Where? Just for a walk. I'll show you my secret place. I don't know if it works in this town, but we can try. In any case, you need a break and probably something to eat. Come on. You need to get your thoughts away from this for a while. When they're troubled, most people escape from their unhappy lives into a world of fantasy. I did that before and still do today, reading books endlessly, immersing myself in their world rather than my own. Rin's escape should be the other way around, though, out of her inner world into the real. Rin doesn't look happy about this, but I ignore her. At least she's somewhat cooperative, walking after me as we head down the stairs and then down the sidewalk. Night has fallen upon the town. It's a gentle summer night, smelling of flowers and hot asphalt. I'm gonna check. Am I still... Oh, reverse escapism. Okay. It's a gentle summer night, smelling of flowers and hot asphalt. The sunlight is replaced by shining neon colors and bland yellow street lights. The air is easy to breathe, as if the air pressure was noticeably lighter than usual. The feeling of daytime in the hot summer has lasted long into the evening and night. I grab Rin by her sleeve like I've seen Emmy do, and to my surprise she obediently follows. The pale street lights fight against the enveloping, that doesn't sound like a word to me, but I know it is. Darkness as we walk together, the guided and the guided, although neither knows the destination. But it doesn't matter. This is the one moment where the usual silences that have become a ritual between me and Rin at last fit perfectly. We walk side by side, choosing directions on impulse or inspiration. Sometimes we find ourselves back at a street we'd already seen once or twice. Sometimes we find new streets. All of them look asleep. Rin doesn't ask where we're going. Maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she knows I don't have an answer. The silence of the night isn't scary after all. The lights drive most of it away. The air grows cooler as the moon progresses along its journey in the cloudless sky. Few cars roam the streets at this hour, and even fewer people are on the sidewalk. The apparent lack of nocturnal life is somehow befitting of this place. There are all around-the-clock shops and cafes, sure, but the atmosphere is like the town itself is slumbering, a town that sleeps 8 hours a day. The city I grew up in, bathed in the electric glow of a million light bulbs, never slept. I've seen it for myself. It's not the first time I've done this. It happened one of the first times I was home alone. Both of my parents had business trips that neither could cancel, so they deemed me old enough to survive 2 days on my own. Their misplaced trust in me did not go to waste as I proceeded to spend the entire night out walking around the city. Even afterward, I couldn't say what had made me stay downtown longer than I'd intended after school. I didn't feel like going home, so I stayed through the evening and eventually through the entire night. I walked long concentric circles around a landmark chosen at random. For some reason, the nighttime city felt fascinating, so I walked its streets. At every intersection it was possible to choose your direction at random because they all led nowhere. The aimless wandering made me see things differently. I hope it'll do the same for Rin. We stopped to buy some hot coffee and snacks from a vending machine, and then, hot coffee from a vending machine. That's a nice vending machine then. And then locate a bench where we sit down to eat. There's no time in the night of town. So, what? There is no time in the night of the town, so we spend an unknown amount of it just sitting there, observing the stillness of the usually vivid townscape. Still, it's getting very late, and soon it'll be getting very early. So is this it? Hearing Rin's voice surprises me. She doesn't sound bored, rather her tone is inquisitive, uncertain as to why I dragged her out here, yet curious to find out the answer. Yeah. Have you ever been out all night? It's like a different world. What? Okay. The remark sends her thinking for a while, looking as if she was looking for something. The wisps of light reflecting from the corner of her eyes are suddenly very sharp. It's not a different world, it's the same, just asleep. What do you think this town is dreaming of? Maybe something like a car sheep, or a building sheep. Why are dreams always about sheep? I've never seen a sheep-related dream that I can remember. Do different towns dream of different things? Probably. How could they not? I answer, half joking, half spurring her on. For the first time tonight, it seems like a bit of Rin's life has returned to her. She doesn't continue her list of rhetorical questions, though. Instead, she leans back a little and looks up at the moon traveling above the town. The cool breeze blowing between the buildings seems to steal the conversation away before it even really begins. It's too bad. It looked like Rin would get out of her blue mood. Okay. I wish I could somehow know the right things to say, but I realize I can't do that the way I am now. I'm too far apart from Rin. I haven't really managed to crack her open. She's just too complicated. It's like she's open to everything, equally disinterested in everything from the outset. In truth, she's locked tighter than anyone else I know, even myself. Sometimes she locks herself inside that inner world, shutting everything else out. At other times, her thoughts flow freely from her mind, but not organized in any fashion that would make them intelligible to the rest of the world. What comes out in the form of paintings I can't interpret. To me, it's just a sea of colors and shapes, not a message. She's too far away. I know now it was a bad idea to try and reach for her in the way I did, but I can't help liking her. I look at the fingers of my right hand, trying to remember what Rin's lips felt like against them. Do you ever feel like you're trying to reach out for something that's impossible to reach? Rin turns her gaze towards me, tilting her head quizzically. I wonder if she understands the meaning of my own rhetorical question or not. Either way, I like how I can manage to catch her attention just by speaking aloud nowadays. All the time. At least I think so. That's what painting feels like a lot of the time. Or all the time, I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling that I can really paint what I want. Sometimes it feels like it's just another shadow of me, like a mirror that doesn't work right. Like talking? Maybe. When I was little, I didn't really have friends. Maybe it's the same now. The only things I liked were pens and paints. They were the only things that understood me. Now it feels like that's going away too. Change really is a scary thing. I wish I could understand you. She looks at me melancholically, aroused by my thoughts materializing as words spoken aloud. Me too. Whether she meant she wished me to understand her to understand me, or her to understand herself, I never ask, nor do I find out. I see her eyes searching for mine, serious and cryptic as they are. I'm not getting any explanation from there. Don't worry about it. I will. Small hints of a smile are wavering on her lips. When she's like this, it makes me feel that maybe there's hope for us. We get along so well for being so different. It's just that we never really get along precisely because we are so different. Maybe it was Rin's passionate approach to her own art exhibition, or perhaps my own careless words, but last week was different from usual. The small friction between us seems to be somewhat volatile, but at least now we seem to be back to normal, relatively speaking. We stand up from the bench and pick yet another direction in which to go. The wee hours of night slowly pass by as we measure the streets of the town, one step at a time. We are finally at ease, not minding the rare lone passerby, the eerie darkness, each other, ourselves. Rin's step seems lighter, like the heavy air surrounding her is letting go a little. It makes me feel happy. We don't talk, save for the single remarks that are spoken into the night of the town and never answered. The details jump into the eye instead of being the usual blur they are during the day. As the sky above the town changes from a deep, dark blue to gray, I know that our night is soon ending. It's almost morning. Rin looks up too and nods at me. It's true. The coming light of morning is creeping through the sky, climbing higher by the minute. It feels surreal. The sun won't come up for a while, but I get the feeling that the end of this night really is here and now. Should we head back? Rin nods again, twice, her hair waving in the breeze that seems to be heralding the coming dawn. Abruptly she takes off, taking the lead in this walkabout on which I'd brought her. It seems she really is in a better mood. This too makes me feel happy. Rin's navigational skills are probably not much better than mine, but we eventually find ourselves at the front of Sai's place. I don't know if this was any help. I did this once before, but it was more because of a stupid impulse, or maybe restlessness back then. Maybe this was a silly idea, and I really didn't help you at all. She just nods as an answer. So, do you know how you're going to destroy yourself now? I have some ideas. I don't want to see you for a while. Don't come and see me. Do something else. Her ultimatum catches me completely off guard. What the hell? What's that about? You said before that you didn't mind. I mind now, just for a while. I have to do this alone. I don't like that. Why? I don't want it to go like this. Why? I just don't want to feel this distance between you and me. She tilts her head a little like a bird, her eyes narrowing a little as she thinks. Then you can touch me. What? Yeah, what? You can touch me if you want. You'd feel better, right? I don't know. Try. Where do you want me to touch you? No. No boobs or left ear. Other than that, you can decide. Fine. I raise my hand hesitantly, even though I don't know why I'm actually doing this. Her eyes tell me that she's not going to explain. 1,000 thoughts race through my head as I slowly bring my hand closer to Rin's face and press 3 fingers against her pale cheek. Rin feels soft and cold. She closes her eyes on contact and visibly relaxes. I can feel her soft breathing, her muscles releasing tension as my fingertips caress her cheek. She doesn't rest her head against my palm or anything else that you'd expect a girl to do in this sort of situation. In fact, she hasn't reacted at all, save for those now shut eyes. Once I withdraw my hand, she opens them again. It might just be an illusion created by the timid morning sunlight playing with my eyes, but Rin looks like she's holding back a smile. That is the problem with our relationship. Half the time I have no idea what's going on, and the other half I just fail to understand why things are going on like they are. As usual, I'm not going to get an explanation. Rin merely takes a step towards the door. See you later. Then she disappears from my reach for an undefined period of time. Wow. Okay then. Did I mess up? This whole arc makes me feel like I'm messing up. I'm gonna save, because I'm scared I messed up. But anyways, we'll continue this day next time. But yeah.